Hi, my name's Dan, and I'm a senior full stack software engineer and a senior systems analyst and designer with wpUpdoot. And I'll be taking you for the duration of this course. There'll also be a fantastic guest presenter, Erin Hoy, who is a strategic marketing specialist near the end of the free course here to help you with some ideas on promoting your website once we've got you built. So, a little bit about me before we move on too far. I've spent over 15 years in the industry and have delivered over 120 products and typically work with small to medium-sized businesses to create a comprehensive web presence and e-commerce solutions. I also assist SaaS-based startups, so software as a service-based startups in rapid prototyping new services for early testing and for getting out an MVP or minimum viable product. I also developed critical features for a major EU-funded arts project and am qualified to teach tertiary education. So that's TAFE and university. But that's enough about me. Let's get to the important stuff, the course overview. So what can you expect from the course? Well, by the end of it, you'll have your own domain and your professional email address set up. You'll have a website that you can truly customize, and you'll have the skills to grow and use your website effectively. And we'll get to these outcomes by picking a relevant domain name. We'll set up your domain, your website, and hosting an email. We'll install your website software. We'll make an impactful homepage for your website. Create the secondary pages that you need. Customize your navigation menu. And of course, launch your site. And once we've done that, it's not the end of it. We also will go through next steps for ideas for promotion to get your site out there a bit more. Now, this course isn't for everyone. There's a few things we need to make sure you cover before we get started. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of trouble completing the course in a timely fashion, if at all. First and foremost is a personal computer. It needs to be a laptop or a notebook PC, a MacBook or an iPad Pro with a keyboard, a Chromebook or a desktop PC. Trying this using a standard tablet, so an iPad or a Samsung Galaxy or on a mobile phone, is just not practical. It will take way, way too long and the results will not be great. So unless you have a desktop PC, a laptop, a notebook, a MacBook, a Chromebook, or something with a proper keyboard that you can use, I would honestly probably stop now and come back when you have access to a machine like that. The next thing is a business name or a trading name. Now, this may differ depending on which territory you're in, whether you're in the US, New Zealand, Australia, the UK, or anywhere else that you might be viewing this course from. My experience is largely related to Australia and the UK, being an Australian living in England. But you would need, at the very least, I would suggest your registered business name if you have one, or if you're a consultant selling your own services or a personal brand, your own name is fine. Or a service name and a location. So perhaps London Lawn Mowing, for example. You'll also need a Visa card or a MasterCard or some form of debit card that isn't a standard ATM card, something that you can use to make purchases over the internet. Now, that Visa card and MasterCard isn't for paying for this course or anything to do with myself or any of the other guest presenters here. That's to cover third-party services that you'll need to purchase to get this website up and running. So that's not for us. This course is 100% free. That is, in fact, for the third-party service, mainly for the hosting that you'll need to purchase when we set up the website to start with. Okay, so with that in mind, if you're still here, awesome, that's great. We'll need to ask a bit of a commitment from you as well. We've put a lot of work into building this course out and making sure it is absolutely spot on to get you rolling. But we need to make sure that you're ready to go. So you will need, firstly, $100 on that Visa card or MasterCard service to cover the third-party services. Again, that's not for us. That's not for the course. The course is free, but this is for the third-party vendors that we'll be using to get your site up and running. And there's two ways to approach this course in addition to that $100 commitment. You can do a daily grind, so that's 30 minutes per day for 6 days straight, including the weekends. Or you can do a crash course, which you'll need to apply for. Just there's an email link down below, which is 1 day completely distraction free. And if you can commit to either 30 minutes a day for 6 days straight or that 1 day completely distraction free, you'll have a website at the end of it. So let's take a look at every component that we'll be covering in each session for this course. All right, let's get into it. So starting out in session 1, where we'll be looking at the domain name, website hosting, and email setup. This will be a monster session, but we'll get a lot achieved in a very short period of time. So we'll cover some theory, starting off with what we call a regional TLD, or a top-level domain. So that's your .coms, your .co.uks, your .co.nzs, and the different domains that you can pick. We'll go through your domain decision tree, so learning what to actually use as the front part of your domain. We'll also be looking at secondary domain choices, so that's the domains that you could potentially pick if your preferred domain isn't available or has already been registered by someone else. The next thing we'll be doing is diving in and getting our hands dirty. So we will register the domain, we'll set up your website hosting, and create a domain-based email account. So that will be a hello@mybrandnewdomain.com, for example. In session 2, we'll be looking at software installation and setup. So we'll be going through why we've picked WordPress as our preferred platform and permalink best practice. And when we're ready to get our hands dirty, we'll go through setting up the WordPress website. We'll temporarily lock out search engines, configure settings and permalinks, and install our first theme. Session 3, we'll go through creating your homepage. So again, some theory and prac. So we'll start out with what makes a good homepage and search engine optimization, or SEO, considerations for your homepage. And then, time to get our hands dirty again. We will in fact create a new website page. We'll add some components. We'll be adding text, and then we'll be assigning the new page as the website landing page. In session 4, we'll be creating secondary pages. So what's that? Well, it starts out with what pages you should have, and again, search engine optimization considerations. Then when we're ready to go, we will create a new website page. We'll be adding some components, adding text, and then adding that page to the navigation menu. So that's the menu at the very, very top of your screen. Moving on to session 5, bit of a slog this one, and it does take a little bit of time, but we go through the compliance. So recommended legal pages, SEO considerations again. Once we're ready to go, and this is a fairly practical heavy session, we'll be sourcing some example content, so some of the terms and conditions and the compliance pages that you'll need. We'll be adding those pages to your site and then adding them to a secondary menu that we'll put in the footer of your site so that Google can find it, but it's not in your clients' faces. And then in session 6, it's launch day. So we'll be starting off by going through some theory again, looking at quality assurance, going through what iteration is, or continual improvement, and touching on what a soft launch versus a hard launch is. For the practical, we'll actually go through performing quality assurance and some practical tips on how to do that one, unlocking search engine access, and then performing a soft launch itself. So after that, we have a bonus session available, and we'll be going through ideas for a larger hard launch, promoting your website, search engine registration and optimization, finding help managing the site, iteration and content, and then extensions and e-commerce. So thank you very much for persisting with this one. It is a big course. We've got a lot to get through in the next few sessions. I'm really looking forward to working with you. In the next session, we'll be setting up our domain name, setting up our website, and doing our email setup as well. And to get that happening, you'll need to have a Visa card or a MasterCard with $100 on that. So again, that's not for us. That is for our third-party vendor, which you'll be purchasing to set up your site yourself. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next session.